March 1945. Night over Danzig smells of smoke and gunpowder. From the direction of the Motlawa River, gunfire echoes. Soviet tanks under Rokossovsky have broken into the city center, and what was once one of the most beautiful port districts in Europe, elegant Dutch facades, granaries filled with amber and grain, narrow streets that remembered the flow of Hanseatic trade, is burning. It has been burning for a long time now, burning greedily. Under the rooftops, the flames turn into something alive. On the bank of the Motlawa stands a massive timber and stone structure. It is 600 years old. It has survived plague, sieges, wars, shifting borders, and changing flags above the town hall. But on this night, its wooden superstructure, dark old planks that once felt the hands of hundreds of craftsmen, catches fire. The crane is burning. Its internal drums, the same wooden wheels, 6.5 meters in diameter, that 4 men once walked inside to lift multi-ton loads to the height of ship masts, crackle and collapse in the flames. The stone towers hold, but inside is hell. Everything that was once an idea is burning. One of the great harmonies of the Middle Ages, a one-of-a-kind gate crane that stood over the Motlawa since 1444, dies in the same week that the Third Reich collapses. But the story of this place began long before the German eagle appeared above it, and it did not end when that eagle fell into the fire. To understand why the crane appeared on this riverbank at all, you have to imagine what the world looked like in the 14th century. Not the world of school textbooks, hungry, dark, full of superstition. No, the Baltic coast in the age of the Hanse was different, noisy, bustling, filled with the smells of fish, tar, wet rope, and foreign spices. Danzig had, by the mid-14th century, already become one of the symbols of the Baltic trading network. The Hanseatic League united nearly 200 cities from Bruges to Novgorod. It was not a union of states, nor an army. It was a network, a trading network that controlled the movement of goods across the Baltic and North Seas. Danzig meant grain. Prussian lands produced so much wheat and rye that half of Europe could be fed through this port. Along the Motlawa sailed cogs, broad-bellied ships with square sails. They carried grain westward and returned with cloth, salt, wine, and metal. The port never stopped. Wealth flowed like a river in the most literal sense. And that created a problem. Sacks of grain weighed dozens of kilograms. Bales of cloth weighed even more. Ship masts weighed several tons. All of it had to be lifted, from deck to warehouse, from warehouse to deck, from shore to ship and back again. By hand, impossible. A mechanism was needed. The first crane on this site appeared sometime in the 1660s. Almost nothing is known about it. Most likely it was a simple wooden structure on posts, functional, unremarkable, like most tools of its time. But trade grew. Cargo volumes increased. Danzig grew rich and demanded something greater. In 1442, the city council made a decision to build a new crane, a real one unlike anything else in Europe. No one knows the name of the master who designed the crane. His name vanished into the Middle Ages, where authorship belonged to guilds, not individuals. But the idea behind the structure was bold. The crane had to be 3 things at once: a port machine, a city gate, since it formed an entrance from the quay into the city, and a defensive tower. 1 structure, 3 functions, not just engineering, but a philosophy of the age, when labor, trade, and war were inseparable. Construction was completed in 1444. What rose on the bank of the Motlawa had no precedent. Two massive round brick towers anchored the structure like roots. Between them, a towering wooden superstructure with a distinctive silhouette, something between a giant birdhouse and a vertical piece of medieval Tetris. On the roof, a copper crane figure, a bird of vigilance, a guardian. Its name and function were one, Żuraw, both crane and lifting machine in Polish. Inside the towers were two drums, the larger 6.5 meters in diameter. They were enormous tread wheels. Workers didn't turn handles, they walked inside, like hamsters in a wheel. Their steps rotated the drum wound the rope, and the rope lifted the load. Up to 4 tons raised to 11 meters, and when needed for ship masts, the system adjusted, lifting loads to 27 meters. 27 meters! In the 15th century, that was nearly magic. Imagine you are a merchant from Lübeck, arriving in Danzig with barrels of fine Rhine wine. Your cog docks along the Motlawa. You look toward the shore and see the crane. It towers above the quay like a small cathedral. A thick rope hangs from its wooden frame. Workers are ready. Within minutes, heavy barrels rise smoothly from your deck and move into the warehouses across the river. No strain, no broken backs, no accidents from slipping loads. Just a mechanism, just 4 men walking in darkness. You pay a fee for using the crane. That is why it was built by the city. Every lifted cargo meant revenue. The city grew rich. The crane worked. In the 15th century, when the crane was built, the city passed from the Teutonic Order to the Polish crown. After the 13 Years' War ended in 1466, Danzig became a free city under Polish suzerainty and entered its golden age. Polish kings granted it privileges unmatched by any other port. By the 16th century, 80% of Polish grain exports passed through the city. But wealth attracts danger. The 17th century brought war, Swedish invasions, conflicts with Brandenburg. Danzig survived through diplomacy and wealth. Inside its towers appeared workshops, even a barber's shop. The structure became part of daily life. But ships grew larger. By the 17th, 18th centuries, 4 tons was no longer impressive. Other ports built stronger cranes. Danzig did not modernize quickly. Perhaps tradition, perhaps because for raising masts, its unique function made it still unmatched. It worked until the late 18th century. Then Prussia took the city in 1793. Slowly, the crane became more monument than machine. History turned sharply. Napoleon took Danzig in 1807, making it a free city. Prussia regained it in 1814. After the war ended, the Treaty of Versailles created yet another free city under the League of Nations. In 1932, a 5 golden coin depicted the crane, a symbol of a state that would soon vanish. In 1939, the war began here. The German battleship Schleswig-Holstein fired on Westerplatte. Danzig became German again. The crane watched. Then came March 1945. Soviet forces under Rokossovsky surrounded the city. German troops refused to surrender. On March 27th, the assault began, street by street, building by building. On March 28th, Soviet troops reached the center. The Motlawa, the granaries, and the crane caught fire. The dry wood ignited instantly. Inside, the great drums burned. The copper crane on the roof glowed red. The stone towers held, but everything wooden turned to ash. On March 30th, Danzig fell. The city lay in ruins, more than half destroyed. The crane stood as a charred skeleton. After the war, Poland made a rare decision. Instead of rebuilding anew, it reconstructed the old city, street by street, house by house, using paintings, engravings, and records. The crane took nearly 20 years. By 1965, it stood again, its wooden structure restored, its wheels rebuilt, its silhouette unchanged. Inside, now a maritime museum. You can climb its stairs, stand beside the massive wheels, and imagine what it was like to walk inside them. Today, the crane is on every postcard of Gdansk. It stands where it has stood for 6 centuries, watching the river where tourist boats now glide instead of cargo ships. But if you look at it long enough, especially at dusk, when the copper bird darkens against the sky, you see something else. Not a monument, not a museum, a machine. An old, stubborn machine that has survived everything: prosperity, war, fire. Destroyed once and brought back again. There is something unsettling in that persistence, as if the crane remembers more than any book. And history, as always, is in no hurry. Would you ever want to stand inside it, where those 4 workers once walked, and feel 6 centuries beneath your feet?